A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to all in this lecture number 24 of module 3. So in the last lecture, in the previous lecture, we talked about health, then program for health. So we studied the coexistence of self and body, feeling of self-regulation that is required to ensure the health of the body. And in this lecture specifically, we are going to talk about policies and systems required for ensuring health at the level of country, at the level of world, etc. So let's start. What kind of policies would be required? What kind of systems will be required to ensure health in everyone? So basically the whole lecture is based on the discussion of the policies related to health system. So we already talked about health. We already talked about program for ensuring health. So just briefly, I would like to briefly revise all those things here before moving further in this lecture. So previously we talked about the coexistence of self and body, where we studied the need of the self, need of the body, activities of the self, activities of the body, and we understood that the need of the self is continuous in time. Activities of the self is continuous in time. So to ensure health, it is required to have the right understanding at the level of self. So once the self is able to see that the body is an instrument, then self feel self-regulation, feeling of self-regulation. With this feeling, self naturally makes program for ensuring health at the level of body. So in the previous lecture, we talked about the programs for ensuring health, where we talked about intake, daily routine, yogasana, pranayam, medical treatment, etc. And we have understood in that lecture that intake is a very important step for ensuring health. So if we take care about the intake, the rest is ensured by the body, because we studied that body is a self-organized unit. Each and every cell, each and every organ of the body is actually self-organized. We only have to take care about the input, especially when taking any food. And when we are talking about food, it means we are talking about everything that is absorbed by the body. So we are talking about air, we are talking about water, our environment, food, etc. Everything. This can be done at the level of individual. So individual at least can take care of food, take care of water, air, etc. And in this lecture, we are going to talk about policies related to health system. So what facilitations would be required from the policymakers. So if policymakers provide a good health system and individual is aware about the self and the body and its coexistence, then feeling of self-regulation, health can be ensured. So both steps are required. Number one, awareness in individual about the coexistence of self and body, about the feeling of self-regulation. And along with this, good health system is also required. Good policies are also required. So combinedly, the health of every person can be ensured. So in this lecture, we are basically going to talk about policies related to health system. So if you see the definition of health, you will find the definition of health according to this Oxford English Dictionary, the state of being free from illness or injury. So the health, according to this dictionary, is being free from illness and injury. So our whole focus is to remove this illness or injury from our body. But if you see WHO definition in 1948, the definition is given in like a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So WHO has recognized health not at the level of only body. Health is also required at the level of self, mental health. Then health also depends on our social well-being. So if we consider all these things, physical, mental and social well-being, then health can be ensured. So it is not only removing the absence of diseases or infirmity. It is a complete state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. This is health according to WHO. So in fact, we have talked many times during this course that if we want to ensure the body of the health, then mental health is also required. So if the self is not resolved, if self has contradiction, then it impacts body too. So to be fit physically, the mental health is also required. Along with this, relationship in society plays also an important role for a healthy person. So if we have good relations with our relatives, with our society, if we are resolved at the level of self, then health of the body can be ensured. So for a healthy person, all these three things are required: resolution in the self, harmony at the level of body, and relationship with the environment. So with these 3 points, the state of health can be achieved. So we can say that a human being is healthy if his physical, mental and social being relations are healthy. So we can have a brief look where do we stand today. So we can see diseases like communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases. So communicable diseases are the diseases which have a probability to pass on from a diseased person to a healthy one who come in a contact. So basically this kind of disease spread from one person to one person whenever they come in contact. And if you see the non-communicable diseases, you can see this figure is facts. 70% mortality due to these in high income countries. So despite availability of best of medical facilities and medical care, these diseases do not pass on through human contact. So non-communicable diseases are basically those diseases who do not pass on through human contact. So like obesity, depression, etc. But if you see the percentage, the countries which have high income are suffering from these diseases. So if you pay attention on the fact and figure, you may easily find out that those countries who have high incomes are suffering from obesity. So obesity is increasing despite of having a good medical facilities, best medical facilities and medical care. Depression is increasing. Suicide is increasing. Majority of these are due to lifestyle. Only availability of good medical system is not enough to ensure health. We have also evaluate lifestyle. So if our lifestyle is not good, if our lifestyle does not match with the circadian rhythm which we studied in the last lecture, then these diseases cannot be stopped. So along with good medical facilities, good medical care, our lifestyle should be natural. And you can easily see, you can easily figure out that majority of these diseases like obesity, depression, suicide are mainly due to our lifestyle. So if we see today at the level of body or at the level of self, our lifestyle has become so complex that we are restless at the level of self, and also our body have lot of problems, and it is happening because of our lifestyle. So this is a brief view about our state today. So let's see some more facts and figure. So like if we talk about obesity, obesity is increasing. So this is report, WHO report in 2014, where it is published that 13% obesity exists, 39% overweight exists. In USA, 20% people are obese, and in India it is also increasing. 20% of people are having overweight or obesity, and all these figures, if you observe, are increasing day by day. So we are moving towards development. We are getting best medical facilities. We have well-equipped hospitals. Despite of all these facilities, if you see these diseases are increasing day by day. Similarly, if you see the effect of this depression at the world level, you can see 3.8% of the world population suffer from depression, and it is a major contributor to the overall global burden of disease. So depression is a very prevalent issue. Most people are suffering from depression, and depression expected to be world's #1 disability by 2020. So if you see the scenario of USA, 10% of the US population is depressed, and India, more than 5% live with mental illness. So if you see depression is expanding day by day, and most of the people are now suffering from this state of depression. Even a child who is supposed to play in this time period are also suffering from this state of depression. So this is a simple graphical representation of the suicide rates. So in 2016, suicide is 10th leading cause of death. So 35% population affected by suicide. It means for every suicide, 25 attempt suicides. So you can see here data is mentioned of India. In India also suicide rates are increasing. In 1987, 7.9, 2007, 10.3, 2016, 15 plates, etc. Now you can see more latest figure using net. So it is an important question. Despite of having all kind of medical facilities, a good development in the field of especially medical field, why this is happening? Why these diseases are increasing day by day? So there are some recommendations for the health system so that people can overcome from this state. So following things can be done in different dimensions of the system to ensure health. So these are recommendations. You see it, you think over it. You can add more recommendations if you have any. So let's see what are these recommendations. So education system. So at least we can ensure self-awareness in our education system. So we can promote education that help child to see himself or herself as a coexistence of self and body. At least we can talk in our education system about the needs of the self and the body. We can talk in our education system, formally or informally, about the program to ensure a right understanding in the self, program to ensure health at the level of body. So if we spread this kind of program in our education system and people get aware about the coexistence of self and body, about their need, and if we facilitate process of self-exploration in our education system, process of self-investigation in our education system, then it helps every child to see that body is an instrument, and each and every self with the feeling of self-regulation can ensure the health of the body. So this can immediately at the level of education system. So if we provide such kind of education which help students to explore themselves, to explore their needs, to explore their consciousness, then most of the problem, about 50% of the disease, could be prevented at the level of individual if we expand, if we spread such kind of education. Similarly, some recommendations can be given at the level of health system. So health system, if we talk about this health system, to ensure education for maintaining awareness of the self with the body through a balanced lifestyle. So it is again an important point that we should ensure education. So basically, education helps to spread awareness of the self with the body. So if we provide such kind of education which ensures understanding in the self about the coexistence of self and the body, about the feeling of self-regulation, then it helps us to live a balanced lifestyle. And this includes proper intake, labor and exercise, postures and breath regulation, etc. So we should provide such kind of education so that the student should be aware about proper intake whenever they are going to take any food for their body. They should be able to discriminate about the healthy or non-healthy products. Then they should be prepared with the practice of labor and exercise, then postures and breath regulations, etc. all these things that we talked about in previous lecture. So if we ensure such kind of life, then it can be ensured at the level of health system. So more than 80% of diseases could be prevented if we ensure all kind of or such kind of things in our education system. And then remaining 5 to 10% can be ensured with medication, surgery, etc. So if we talk about health policies, so the country's health system will have an overall responsibility for ensuring health of every citizen. So it is a responsibility of our health system, our health department, to ensure health in every citizens. So again, it is important to note, when we are talking about health, we are talking about physical and mental health of all the citizens. So basically, government funds will be primarily for treatment of communicable diseases and accidents. So in the policy system, there should be provision to help people in the case of communicable diseases or in case of accidents. It also provides mental security in the citizens that they will get help in case of these diseases. So funding of health education will be appropriately augmented so that people and organizations adopt healthy lifestyles. There should be a proper fund to ensure such kind of health education that help people, that help organizations to adopt healthy lifestyle. So if government make a provision, give funds to adopt this healthy lifestyle, then definitely it will impact our lifestyle. So all this kind of policies are required at the level of government. Now we can talk about health system at the level of society. So at the level of society, we can look at the societal systems required to support, protect, and enrich family and social efforts. So some of these are mentioned here, like education system. So it is necessary to prepare every child in all dimensions of health. It means we should provide such kind of education that facilitates child to ensure health in all dimensions: mental health, social health, health at the level of body, and it can be ensured with the feeling of self-regulation. So in education system, there should be provisions to develop the feeling of self-regulation in the child. Then there is a required appropriate practice to keep the body healthy. So all this should be ensured at the level of education. So if our education is based on self-exploration, if our education is based on reality, then all these can be ensured at the level of child through education system. With this family system, so harmony in the family provides a conducive environment for mental and physical health. So if there is a good relations in family, there is a harmony in family. If there are justice in family, there are feelings in family that we studied, like trust, respect, affection, etc. So fulfillment of all these feelings provide a conducive environment which ultimately ensure mental and physical health in the member of the family. With this, a system of appropriate intake, routine, daily exercise are essential part of the family system. So policy should be made at the level of family, structure should be made at the level of families, and it should be taken care by the policy makers that the structures which are being adopted by families, social structures, buildings structures, are according to healthy lifestyle or not. So all these can be ensured with the help of these healthy policy systems. Then there is a need of skills and means to deal with minor ailments with home remedies. So it is also required to ensure the skills in every child so that he or she may cure themselves in case of there is a minor ailment or disease. So students should be able to recognize home remedies. They should be well equipped to use home remedies in case of minor ailments. Similarly, participate meaningful in above areas, in neighborhood, in the family, and cluster and beyond. So if we equip a child with such kind of education, a child becomes a natural agent to spread all these things to their neighborhood, their social systems, etc. Then we can talk about health system at the level of society. So education for social healthy system has to be part of mainstream education. So such kind of education should be a part of mainstream education. It should be focused on ensuring health and prevention of diseases rather than treatment of disease only. So such kind of education can help a child to ensure health rather than only thinking about the prevention of diseases. So if you observe around you, many people are trying to prevent the diseases. Very few of us are working for the health. For this, we should promote labor, exercise, pranayam to keep the body and breathing in balance. So this mass awareness is required to promote labor, exercise, pranayam, etc. If we provide this at all level, then good lifestyle practices, intake routine, as well as home remedies for minor ailments can be ensured. So such kind of system is required at the level of society, which spread mass awareness about all these things that we have discussed now. Then medicine and treatment at the level of system. So need to involve holistic system of the medicine and treatment based on different systems prevailing today. So there is a need to evolve holistic system of medicine and treatment rather than giving treatment to only that infected part. There is a need to evolve a holistic system that ensures the health of the whole body. And it would be done as a service with a feeling of mutual fulfillment rather than merely as a profit or non-profit business. So this can be ensured with the feeling of mutual fulfillment. And if we only pay attention on our profit, then it becomes difficult to run such kind of education, such kind of health system. So a feeling of mutual relationship is required that can be ensured through education system at the society level. So let's sum up the whole things. So we need the following societal systems to support, protect and enrich family and societal efforts. So we talked about education system. So it is required, it is necessary to prepare every child in all dimensions of health, so that the child may develop the feeling of self-regulation. This child should be able to practice to keep the body healthy. So our education system is required so that a child gets skilled to ensure his or her health. Then at family system, harmony in the family is required for mental and physical health. So feeling of relationship, values in relationships, feeling justice. This kind of curriculum should be a part of our education system and as well as our family system. So if the families are in harmony, then it becomes very easy for a child to live in a harmonious manner. And if the family system is good, if there is a harmony in family system, and if we develop sanskars in our child with this family system, the child becomes a natural agent for spreading such kind of education through their conduct in their neighborhood, in family clusters and beyond. Then we talked about health system at the societal level. So whatever has discussed should be a curriculum in our education system. So health system should be focused on ensuring health, on prevention of disease rather than on treatment and disease alone. So there is a need to evolve a holistic wisdom. There is a need to evolve a holistic perception about the health. Then medicine and treatment at the level of system. So an evolved holistic system of medicine treatment, which is based on the essence of different systems prevailing today. It would be run as a service with a feeling of mutual fulfillment. So if we are following this medical and treatment, it should be done with the feeling of mutual fulfillment rather than only with profit and profit making system. So if we continue this could be a significant reduction in the burden on the current health system by societal health policies. So if our education system facilitates the knowledge of self and body, if our education system facilitates the feeling of self-regulation in the child, if our education system facilitates harmonious relationship in family, then it naturally reduces the burden of current health system. So about 80% of illness which are related to lifestyle could be prevented at the level of individual, family cluster, school and colleges. So we have to evolve such kind of systems in schools, in colleges, institutions, in organizations that help a child to live in a healthy lifestyle. So approximately 10% of the remaining could be handled by home remedies. So only rest of the very small percentage of communicable diseases, accidental and genetic disorders would require medicine and treatment. So if we ensure all the discussed things at the education system, then there will be a very small percentage where this surgery, etc. would be required. So with this basic understanding, there can be a major shift in paradigm related to health and health systems. So it's all about the lecture from my side, where we talked about the health system and policies. So basically we talked about the system required to ensure health in every citizen. We talked about policies, recommendations that is required at the level of a school, family, society, organizations, so that each and everyone's health can be ensured. So thank you very much. Let's meet in the next lecture with module 4. Thank you very much.